Okay, I've decided to do a little bit of mod work on my Zakk Wylde Crybaby. I'm going to do the mid-range mods and the Q sweep mod as far as I'm aware. I like the Zakk Wylde, but it's a little bit too focused for me. It's either all or nothing, and it seems to be quite tight on the sweep. So I'm just going to see if I can play around with that. Thanks to Aji at Dirtbox forum. He's got a mod kit out for £10. It covers all the Crybabies. Well, certainly covers this one and most of the other standard ones as well. There's information on Dirtbox forum about this as well, so I'm going to follow the instructions and see where we go. Okay then. Okay, so we've removed the resistance in R1, which is the okay, so we've removed the resistors, the R1, which was that one there, and I've changed that. That's the mid mod sweep, and I've put in a 2.2. It should have been a 2.1 in the kit, but I've worked it out and I think it's actually a 2.2, so that's close enough anyway. And then we've changed the other resistor, which was a 33 on the R5, which is next to the phasal, which is this thing in there, and it was a stock as a 33, and I've changed it to an 82 to give it a much more vocal range. They say just to go steady with that because they do actually sweep over onto each other, but I thought, oh, what the hell. Also, with this being a Zakk Wylde, this capacitor here is a 0.02 microfarads. Now apparently in the normal Crybaby it's a 0.1 microfarads. Now I've left that in there, and you did send me the stock one, the 0.1 microfarads, but seeing as Jimmy in his pedals they seem to think that he had a 0.02 microfarads, so I thought, oh sod it, if it's good enough for Jimmy it's good enough for me. So that's where we are at the moment, and I'll be back in a second. I've just flipped this over just to show you the where the contacts actually were, and how I've done them, how I've cleaned them up. So this one is the R5, that one and that one, and then down here this one and this one. Sorry, so that one and that one is the R1. So there you go, so it's pretty clean. I've now got to do the bypass mod, which is going to take out quite a bit of the bits and pieces on there, so it's going to be a bit of a bind. I have got a solder sucker, or whatever you like to call them, and I've got some flux as well, some wick, to see which one I prefer. I've tried the wick already. I'm not too sure about that. I've tried the sucker, and that seems to be a bit better, but once we start getting onto this board, we'll see how we're going to go on there. Okay then. One thing I have done is I've put the resistors that were in the R1 and the R5 just on a bit of paper to keep them, and if I want to change it back to stock, then I know which resistors were which, and I can go straight back to it. So it's just a bit of a tip, just keep them on a bit of paper, mark them up, stick them down with a bit of sellotape, clean them off, you can use them again. As usual, I tend to go ass about face, so I've actually taken out the switch. There you go. I've desoldered it. Again, I will keep that because you never know. But once it's bypass, I suppose. So there you go. So these little wires, green is the, what is that? Oh, yeah, that's the input one. And we got the output one there, which is that one, I think. Sorry for the shakiness, I'm just checking my wiring and all the rest of it. And then this one here is the output. Obviously we're going to have another couple of wires that will be coming through when we do the true bypass, because we've got several sections on here obviously that we need to be removing all of this malarkey around here and up here and that transistor as well. So there you go. Okay, so I'll see you in a bit. Okay, we've removed all the buffer circuit, which is right this side, there, here, here and here. So that's all now been taken off. And as I said before, I'm just keeping the original stock resistors and capacitors, and like I say, I've even, I know it's a bit sad, but I've even kept the switch there, and then just label everything up, and I'll just keep that. There you go. Okay, so I've added 2 wires for the bypass, there you go, into both sides, both ends of the R14 resistor, and they will be going to the new switch. Just a little tip as well, the wire may be a little bit thick to go through the holes, so instead of pissing about trying to make the holes a bit bigger, which is not a good idea, just strip off a few strands of your wire, literally just undo them a few and just snip them off, and you'll find it easier to just to put it through the holes. Don't worry about the integrity of it, because you're not actually doing a great deal of damage to it. And I'll just I'll flip it over and show you the joints. Right, and there you go. As you can see, those are the 2 new bypass joints, that one and that one. So I've got plenty of wire through, and I just clipped them down. They should be okay, but we'll bear and see. And then you can see where I've removed all the other bits and pieces through here, through here. I did use the sucker initially, but then I found that if you just to finish it off, if you just use the wick, which is this stuff, there we go, and if you just literally sit it on top of the joint that you want to clean up, and then put your soldering iron on top of that, it will actually clean up a lot of this a lot better than you can just with the as you can see, some of them are pretty clean. Okay then. Okay, so those cables are for the bypass and the input. We've got a true bypass. Just wired up this new switch in there that was an absolute pig to do. Whether there's another way to do it, I don't know. But it would be nice if there was a switch that had little holes in that you could put the cables through. That would make it a lot easier, because it's an absolute shitbag to do. As you can see, I've caught the cables now and again, but I'm not too bothered about that. So there we go. So that's the bypass done, and the Q mod done, and the sweep mod done. So we'll put it together and see what it sounds like. Okay, I've done the mod, and it's working okay, and the true bypass kicks in everything, but I have noticed that there's a drop in the volume when you actually kick in the pedal. So I've done a bit of searching about, and apparently I'm going to change this resistor here, which is a 68k, and apparently if you drop that down, it increases the bit of a gain stage on there and increase the volume. So I'm going to change that to the recommended 47k, and we'll see how we go on. Okay then. Okay, so I've changed this resistor here, and it's now in a 47k instead of the 68k, and we'll refit it all back up and see if there's any drop in the volume. Fingers crossed. Well, I put it all back together again, and there was less of a drop in the volume, but I'm still not quite happy. So what I'm going to do now is change this 390 ohms resistor. It suggests that you go anywhere between 330 and 270. That's another gain stage on there, just to give it a little bit of a kick. So I'm actually going to try a 300 and see how we go with that. So fingers crossed there's going to be a noticeable improvement in a lack of volume and increase in the wah, but we'll see how we go on. Okay, so I've completed the mods and I've had a try. There is no drop whatsoever in the volume now, so that's absolutely spot on. So that seems to have cured. Just changing the R9, which was the 390 ohms, and dropping that down to 300. That significantly increased the gain stage on that, along with the R15, which was the other slight modification. That was a 68k in the gain stage there, that first one, and I changed that to a 47. So again, being a tight Yorkshireman and just mainly for anything else, for future reference and bits and pieces, if I can't remember, I've just kept all the, obviously I probably won't use them, but I've just kept all the resistors and the caps and bits and pieces and just marked them off as I was. And I've also marked off what I've done and what I've changed there. So the R1 is a sweep capacitor. I've put that as a 2.2. The R5, which is the Q, which I thought might have been quite high, but apparently can go up as much as 100. Apparently the Vox have that as on some of theirs is to 100. So 82 is okay. It's not too bad at all. The R15, which again is the gain mode, has gone from 68, like I said before, to a 47, and the R9 again is one of the gain mods, just to increase that volume a little bit, so you can't see too much of a drop in the volume. In fact, it's probably a little bit of a boost on it, to tell you the truth, but I'm quite happy with that, and that's 300 ohms. So the pedal is now complete. There it is, and it's up and running. I've had a little play with it. I'm not a fantastic player, so I won't embarrass myself by doing that. But what I will do is I'll get one of my mates to actually play with it, and he can hear what it's like. But that'll probably be at a future date. But I will get it on there. But it sounds good to me. But that's just a little bit of a mod video more than anything else, just to show how relatively easy it is if you know what to do. What I would suggest you do is buy yourself a cheap multimeter. These are absolutely invaluable for testing out the the caps and bits and pieces, because if you're anything like me, trying to read schematics, it could be a double Dutch as far as I'm concerned, telling you, and trying to read these bloody colour codes on the resistors is an absolute nightmare, especially if you're a little bit colourblind, which I didn't think I was, but obviously I am. So just put them between the points, drop it down to the ohms meter on here, whatever value it is, put it between the 2 points, and Bob's your uncle, and up it pops. Really valuable bit of kit. I think they're only about £7 for Maplins or something like that. Will save you hours and hours of pissing about. Okay, so there we go. So that's the modded Zakk Wylde, and thanks for watching. Cheers.